This is the thing about first drafts, is that you really never know how well you've done until you get to the act 3 of a first draft. I feel like The Floating House is technically a gothic fantasy. Maybe something just clicked in my brain because it's October. It's spooky season. I'm in a weird space with The Floating House right now. Floating House is my adult fantasy. It takes place in a secondary world loosely inspired by turn of the century Manila. I'm currently working on my first draft of the book, my 4th book that I'm working on in the last 4 years. It's in a bit of a strange place right now for a few reasons, but it's fine. We'll get through it. We always get through it. Always really interesting to vlog the, like, I don't always love to do this because I don't know if it like makes a really interesting vlog in the moment, but it is interesting to me to like look back on the vlogs where I was clearly going through it with a project, but to look back on it like months and months later. I think that's what I'm trying to tell myself, is that it's difficult now, but hopefully it'll be worth it. I don't know. The reason that I have hit a roadblock, I got it in my head that I wanted to change the verb tense of the book. I've never changed a verb tense this late. Usually I know within the first 2 chapters what the voice of a project has to be, and I like lock in and I never look back. The issue with this book is that I started writing the book in 3rd person past tense, which is like the safe option for a fantasy, you know? So I didn't feel terrible about it. I wrote the first 2 chapters like that. I really enjoy writing in 3rd person, so I felt good about it being in 3rd person. It's also like a dual narrator book. Because I had just written Local Heavens, I was still feeling past tense. Like I still felt good about past tense, but I do think that like if I consider what the things that I'm like unconsciously drawn to, it is present tense. I think I had that thought like early on in writing this book, but I sort of ignored it. Past tense isn't difficult for me to write. Like I do think that it's the more common voice. Felt good for a while, but then I do remember having these thoughts while I was writing Act 1 that I potentially wanted to change it, but I kept ignoring it. Then like 2-3 weeks ago, I was like, it's really bothering me. I do like it. It feels more like me, I think. I know that some readers don't like present tense, but I like it, so oh well. So that's what I've been doing for the last like 2 weeks. The other thing that I want to do over the next couple weeks is just kind of change up my writing space. I feel like my writing space hasn't really changed much since I have moved. I feel like my writing area is like in need of a little bit of a refresher. Clemmy, say hi to the camera, Clemmy. Clemmy, you're not in focus. Clemmy, why are you looking away from your fans? Clemmy, you have anything to say? She got nothing. So this is the current desk situation. The main thing is that I definitely am in need of a new desk. I'm trying to read way too many books at the same time right now, but she's dead in a ditch again. I'm currently reading Lady Macbeth. I think I'm going to focus on finishing this book. This is Why They Hate Us. Saints of Storm and Sorrow, also on my currently reading. This is a Filipino fantasy. Also, you guys, I have been rereading Lies of Locke-Lamora. I know I shouldn't be rereading because like, I don't know, I just feel like rereading is fine, but I genuinely feel like I should really focus on reading new books. I mean, you can still see here that I have like so much Fitzgerald on my bookshelf, and I have no excuse to be rereading F. Scott Fitzgerald at this point in time. Clemmy. Are you okay, Clemmy? Hey, Clemmy. How are ya? Oh, she's a very sleepy girl. You guys see Clemmy. Clemmy needed surgery for nothing serious, so she finally had her surgery and she is recovering, but yeah, that's why she's sluggish. Yeah, I just wanted to give like a quick update on the draft. I have been working on the same chapter for the last few days now. I think this is the third day I've been working on this chapter. I just have to finish this one scene and I want to do that today. I try not to rush myself when I'm drafting a completely new chapter. It does actually usually take me sometimes a week to write an entire chapter, because for a first draft, depending on how much I have planned what needs to happen that chapter, a lot of me writing a new chapter is just like me having to figure out like what are the important beats that I need to hit. Especially with like these flashback and interlude chapters, I always like struggle with them. The one dynamic that I am writing in Floating House is between these two siblings. The interlude chapter that I'm writing right now, it's interesting because I've always wanted to kind of like write, I don't want to say like toxic siblings, but I think that like sibling angst is one of the most like angsty dynamics to write. Family is like a very central theme in this book. Both of the main characters have they come from very different backgrounds, classes, and home situations. I think the concept of family is explored in a lot of different ways in this book. Another thing that I'm doing with this book, chapter titles. Personally, I really enjoy chapter titles, writing them and reading them. I hope I can get away with them in this book. And I love it. And it's not something that I got to do with Local Heavens. I feel like every tiny decision that I made in Local Heavens was like, because Local Heavens is a retelling, every decision that I make, I would be like, okay, but is it okay to make this decision? Keeping something from the source material, if I'm changing something from the source material, how is this decision in conversation with the original book? I would always be asking myself that, but now that I'm like unshackled from the chains of writing a retelling, I can just like do indulgent things. I've actually been enjoying writing this interlude. Like, I think that giving each of the two main gangs in this book like very distinct imagery that's like tied to each of them has been really fun actually. Personality of each leader, differences and conflicts that are arising. I'm like super excited to write the climax. The scene that ends off Act 2, it's gonna be so much fun to write. I feel like I've finally gotten emotionally invested in these characters. It has taken me 65,000 words to get emotionally invested in the characters. I think I was watching Lynn's vlog. It's funny because like Lynn was watching one of my vlogs and then I watched that vlog where she was watching my vlog. We're going through very similar experiences right now. Both of us are working on the first books after signing with our agent. The first book with your feet like planted very firmly in traditional publishing. It can really change your relationship with your books. It can be very scary because when you're writing something specifically with publishing in the back of your mind and you're not immediately feeling that passion for your new story, it can feel very much like, oh, should I be working on this right now? Should I be brainstorming a different book? I really struggled with that earlier this year and I was deciding what do I work on next. I think now that I have pushed through, I have found things to be really excited about in this book. I'm very excited to show you guys my updated writing space. I have been on the hunt for a new desk for a while now, specifically a standing desk. Not only have I been struggling with aches in my wrist and back, my old desk was super wobbly and I was getting tired of not having an ergonomic setup. So this is me bidding farewell to this super cheap desk that I will not miss and I will not be using again. Thankfully, my new desk arrived the next day courtesy of FlexiSpot, who sent me their Comhar standing desk. And this was the easiest furniture that I have ever assembled. It only took 3 steps. So first we installed the desk frame to the tabletop and you secure that using 4 screws on each side. You don't need any extra tools. They give you all the screws and the little L tool and that's pretty much it. Step 2, I installed the desk feet. So another 4 screws on each side. Step 3, we just flipped the table over, we put into place, connected the power cords, and we were done. The desk was assembled. So the installation was really straightforward. Next, it was time to refresh my writing space. One thing that I love is that it's a few inches deeper than my last desk. I never liked having my computer screen so close to my eyes, but with this size, I can like push it back further. So mine is 55 by 28 inches, but they also have a 48 by 24 inches for this desk. I'm really happy with how this turned out. The desk comes with 2 USB ports and 1 USB-C port, so you can charge multiple devices conveniently. Up and down arrows allow you to easily and precisely control your ideal sitting and standing height. There's also an anti-collision rebound feature, so the desk will automatically stop in reverse if it senses an obstacle. You can also see how sturdy the legs are because my screens are not wobbling, like not even the ice in my coffee was moving. When you have an ideal height, you can lock it in place. Another convenient feature is that you can set 4 preset heights for quick and easy adjustment. So here I set my ideal standing height to preset 1 and then it just automatically adjusts. So far, I've been really enjoying spending my morning work sessions standing. I feel more alert and focused. Before I get into the desk tour, I just wanted to quickly mention that FlexiSpot does have a fall sale that is going on right now. So if you're interested, then you can click the link in my description box and use my code to get a discount off of your next purchase. If you are in need of upgrading your home or your office, definitely check it out. So one of the things that I really love about this desk is that it does come with a drawer and I can put my chargers here, my iPad, stationery, anything that I just need quick access to. And because this desk has so much space, I actually put my stuffed animals behind my monitor because I just think it looks cute and it like fills in the space when I'm looking at the desk from the side. And then moving on to my laptop and second monitor stand. Because I don't have a work laptop anymore, I just put my personal laptop there and I just use it for storage. And then I have my second screen, which I think this desk is like the perfect size for like a dual screen setup. And I always just use my second screen for music, thesaurus, anything that I need to look up while I'm writing. And then I have my stationery. So I've been getting back into journaling. So I have my like tray of washi tape, and then I have my pens and my highlighters, which I also use for like when I'm annotating my physical books. I also have this little statue, which she does need a name, so suggest me name ideas if you want. I read a lot of books on my iPad as well, so this is Lady Macbeth, which I mentioned earlier that I'm reading right now. My Logitech mouse and my trackpad. I do actually use both pretty often. This is my personal journal, and then the leather one is what I use when I want to brainstorm like notes for my book by hand. On my desk, I also have my sculpted whale. This is actually a gift from my brother's partner, and I've named him Howard because he looks like a Howard. My AirPods, of course. My keyboard, I have an Epo Maker keyboard with matcha keycaps. My keyboard is linked down below. I also have my cloud wrist rest. And then of course my iced coffee, which I always have an iced coffee next to me. This coaster was actually made by hand by my best friend Celine, and it has my author name on it. It's probably my favorite part of my desk. Blue Yeti mic. This is actually my brother's. He basically gave it to me because he doesn't use his that much. I used to have a very, very old microphone. It was like over 10 years old. My Philips Hue circle light thing. I forgot what it's called, but yeah, I've had this for a while. I can like set a bunch of different presets, or of course you can like control the color with the color wheel, and it's just great for mood lighting, great for making videos as well. Because my desk has so much space, I basically cleared my little side vanity, so yeah, I have like a lot more space just for like my jewelry and lippies and stuff like that. I have like my overflow books in my little reading corner. And that is basically it for my desk tour. Writing update. Okay, I finished switching my entire draft into present tense. An experience, what a roller coaster. It actually surprisingly took me a lot longer than I thought it was gonna take me. When I'm switching tenses, most of the time it is just a matter of like going through with the verbs, but I also think that occasionally there are sentences that just sound better in past tense, and so I kind of would have to rework sentences. I can't believe I did it this late in the draft. I do need to fill out some sections of chapter 21, which is I think like just over the midpoint of the book. There's a few descriptions that I didn't finish writing, some setting stuff, a little bit of action that I just didn't feel like writing last week, so I was like, I'm not gonna do this right now. I do think that now that everything is in present tense, voice is feeling pretty good to me. On the surface level, it does seem like a really minor thing, but I think mentally the voice of the project is starting to solidify, and some of that does come with the fact that I have been working on it for many months now, and I'm liking it. I feel like it's a little bit easier for me to like move forward in the draft. The one thing, and I know I shouldn't be worrying about this too much yet, but I am slightly nervous about Act 3. This is the thing about first drafts, is that you really never know how well you've done until you get to the Act 3 of a first draft. Have I foreshadowed what needs to be foreshadowed? Have I done what I need to do to write a resonant and satisfying climax? The other thing that I was actually doing over the last few days was like fine-tuning some of my exposition, and that I stopped to. I actually like had to like brainstorm by hand a bunch of notes because my thoughts were really scattered, like how I want to do some of the meditations on like faith and religion in this project. I didn't realize how many complicated thoughts that I had on this topic until I actually started writing this book. So one of the main characters, her job in this book is that she is translating an old dead language from the pre-colonial language. It's like an old writing system that is very esoteric, that very few people can read and understand. She is a character that grew up in the faith system that was introduced to this culture through colonization. I think that there is a very natural and also important opportunity for me to get into her head a little bit, and how does she feel about being someone who has so devoutly practiced the religion and the faith systems of her culture's colonizers, but is also trying to like reconcile her feelings around that as she is learning more about what faith and religion and cultural practices looked like to people before the arrival of the colonial force. I'm trying to just write it from the heart right now because I do think that a lot of the female character in this book, I feel like this is slightly off topic. One thing I'm realizing about myself is every single one of my books has had a male main character. I don't know if I write male main characters because it gives me this like degree of separation, so that way if I am like self-inserting things into a character, I can like self-insert it into my male characters and I don't feel like I'm writing a self-insert character because it's a man. I feel like this is the first time that I am writing a female main character who, maybe not personality wise, but definitely in some of the struggles that she is feeling, a lot of her internal conflict, I feel like I'm putting a lot more of myself into her than I usually would. I have like really struggled with writing some of the more personal things around her character, very explicitly with anxiety and depression, and also how she feels about not feeling like she is entirely herself. I think that's where a little bit of the diaspora element of this book comes in, is because I think she has to grapple with some of the privileges that come with her position in this society and the things that she has been afforded, but also like how much of accepting that privilege is like a betrayal to her ancestral culture. Always been the more difficult character for me to write because I've had to like really decide what I want to do with her, realizing I am not entirely sure where I want her to end up. Like I have a vague idea, but I don't quite have her like pinned down as solidly as my other main character. I know like very clearly what needs to happen to him, but for her, she's like a little bit more up in the air. I think when I get to the end of Act 2, I'll have figured it out. Also, I was going through my Google Drive yesterday. One thing that I found, I think a few months ago, I started what could potentially be like a prequel novella to this book. I don't know if I'll ever publish it, but like I tend to do this a lot with my books. I like to like write in and around the lore or the world because it sort of feels like I'm giving myself the chance to not only get to know like different facets of my world, but also to play with voice. So like this prequel novella, I wanted to kind of explore like the true origin of the floating house. There is a central mythical house in the floating house. As I was reading it back, I was like, yeah, the voice of it is just like so different. I think it would be a really fun writing challenge for me to kind of actually try to write it. And yeah, but the hard part is that it's so hard for me to like set aside time to write a project that I don't necessarily want to feel, or like that I'm not necessarily writing for publishing. A lot of like how I want to write that prequel is sort of me repurposing an old project that I like talked about a little bit on this channel, but like never fully did. Even though, yeah, this book and this world certainly does pull from Filipino myth and Filipino history, it is like a very loose pulling, I think. It's like my interpretation, the way that I want to interpret it. I have to find my outline to remember what I actually want to do with this. Filipino myth meets captive prince almost. Not with all of the like darkness of captive prince, but like I almost see like elements of that in this project, which is like never a project that I thought I would comp to. But yeah, I haven't like fully figured it out. But yeah, maybe I'll share a little bit over on Ko-fi for Ko-fi members, or any one of my other old projects. This book is definitely taking me longer to write than I thought it would take me.
You're not supposed to be up there, Clemmy. Clemmy, you're not supposed to be up. She's not supposed to jump. Oh my god, she stealth jumped. Ugh. Okay, fine. I'm not gonna make you go down. Do linguistic focus. And then you click verbs. And then you guys see that? It like highlights these different words, and you like this slider, you adjust it and it like adjusts how much you want the words to stand out. You can actually like make all the other words completely invisible. But yeah, this kind of helped me like visually like see every single verb, so it really helped me when I was changing my verb tense. People on TikTok were telling me that there is a software website thing that like will change a verb tense for you. Maybe I'm a boomer, but I like don't really trust it just because of like AI stuff, but also because I'm like, I feel like I have more control over my draft if I can like manually change all the verbs. For me, I just feel like I want to be able to switch every sentence manually, even if it did take me basically 2 weeks. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't done much writing today. God, okay, it's 8:30 right now. Do not have the brain cells to write at this moment. I do have a couple calls this week. I want to prep a little bit for these calls. It is writing related stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna do that today because I feel like I'll be kind of nervous. I feel like I'll be a little bit too nervous to do it tomorrow. Oh my goodness gracious. Is it just me, or like does everyone just feel tired all the time? Even if I'm not physically tired, I feel like I get mentally tired. I was watching this TikTok from one of my writing acquaintances, Katie. I'll link her profile below. She's talking about how exhausting it is to just like be a writer and to like keep up with all the things that you need to, just feeling so burnt out at every single stage of the process. It's like weirdly reassuring to know that I'm not the only one who has just like shoved aside so much of my life for writing and is barely holding it together. Like, and it's true. It's true. Yeah, on a less shitty note, I will be going to New York and I'm really excited. I actually haven't been to the US in a very long time. I used to go every year to see family, and I want to make sure that I do as many book related things as I can. I'm probably not gonna write it today. I can't do it.
She just silently went on the chair. Oh, clammy girl.
Actually tastes like coconut. Oh, Shio! Say hi to the people, Shio.
Oh yeah.
She's so sleepy. Gosh, the lady doth protest. Shio, say hi. Oh, wow. Why is your paw there, Shio? All right, I'll let you pick your churu. Okay, Shio. Shio, you're standing on it. Which one? Green. That's the right answer, Shio. Hey, hey, don't climb me. Shio, don't climb me. She a dolphin. Oh my gosh, she a dolphin.
Oh, yeah, she's gonna follow you.
Shio, you have IBS. Don't forget that. Okay, Queen, it's gone. Shio, that's it.
I've just realized something about this book. I feel like The Floating House is technically a gothic fantasy. This thought has actually crossed my mind like once or twice in the past few months. I always just doubted it, but I think now that I'm further into the book, it's pretty clear to me that there are a lot of gothic elements in this story in terms of like preoccupations about death and being haunted by the past, being haunted by traumatic memories, the fact that it takes place in a literal like mythical house and there is a master of the house that is a mystery. Maybe something just clicked in my brain because it's October. It's spooky season. I think one thing that I definitely need to figure out for Act 3 of this book is how I want to eventually lead up to the reveal and the climax around the master of the house. I just haven't thought about it too much. I know what I want to work towards, but exactly how I want to get there, how to make the reveal feel not necessarily like shocking or surprising, because I don't think that that's the core feeling that you need out of a plot twist, but it's more like how does it feel satisfying and impactful for the characters. I definitely need to work that out. Pretty productive week. I don't necessarily think I have to like figure that out today, but it is something that is going on up in the back of my head. So much of this magic system and the way that it works is like rooted in like thematically and intergenerational trauma. I'm trying not to worry so much about making the thematic writing perfect in the first draft, because that is usually something that needs a lot of work and revision. Just a bunch of plot holes just came to my mind in bed and I was like, damn it. And I was like ranting in my notes app. I think I'm gonna end this vlog here. I'm pretty happy with what I have done this week. The main thing was really that I wanted to like refresh my room, refresh my space. Freaking verb tenses. That took way longer than I thought it was gonna take. But I'm happy with where the draft is right now. We hit 9K randomly this week. So thank you guys so much for that. As always, if you're interested in signing up for my Ko-fi, I open beta reading slots every month. November will be the last month that I will be doing prose critique for second tier Ko-fi members, but I will always have query critiques open. It's been a fun time. So yeah, I'll link all of that information below if you're interested. And as well, thank you so much to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video. If you guys are interested in getting the Comhar standing desk for yourself, or any of their other desks or ergonomic chairs, you can use my code FSYTV50 for $50 off of your purchase. Like I mentioned, they actually have a fall sale going on right now and it runs until October 16th. So if you're actually interested in their E7 series, which offers even sturdier desk frames and advanced controls, you can use the code YTE7P50 and you can get $50 off instantly on the E7 Pro, E7 Plus, or E7L. This code is valid for the rest of the fall sale. So if you are interested in the E7 series, then make sure you check it out before October 16th. But the other code is available for the whole site. That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end of this vlog. I hope all your writing projects are going well. I'll see you guys in the next one.